Yes! Turn 15, exactly!
Hey, what's up everyone, Lad here, back with another COTC video, this time with my 15 turn clear of the Gertrude Cup with Molo. We'll also be giving these characters a Kate rating of how important they are if you're trying for the 15 turn win. Let's begin. First attacker, we have Molo. She is a level 80 with 833 magic and 250 speed. We're using the adamantine armor set. Abilities are Raging Fireball, which is a 3-hit fire attack and it also lowers fire resist. Feeding Feline and Fireball, her nuke. Her passive that allows her to go first when at maxed boost allows other characters to fully get their attacks in, especially if you have a Therion. She gets a 5k out of 5 and her fire damage at A0 does about 40k with fire debuffs and Lynette buffs. For first time wins, if you don't have her, you can also use Ritu, another great attack candidate for this fight. Next attacker, we have Therion. He's probably the MVP of this fight. His paralyzing tooth can do upwards of 80,000 and max VP. With his accessories, he's using the Kota's Right Glove, which is a 30% increase for 3 turns in attack, which will exploit indefinitely with Lynette's buff. He gets a 5k out of 5. If you don't have Therion, you can opt to use any of the 5-star dagger users as well, but you have to get lucky and hope Gertrude doesn't spam her healing attack, as Therion is arguably the hardest hitting dagger user. Onwards, a support character, Lynette. She is the best buffer in the game, passively and actively. For this fight, she not only can deal decent fire damage, but she can also reduce fire resistance, along with Molo to get the fire resist cap at 30%. We're using the Brave Fan for additional turn of buff. Lynette is a 4k out of 5 for the 15 turn challenge. If there was ever a time where she was perfect for any fight, this would definitely be one. You can opt to use Glossom for this fight. Both of his buff skills stack to give you a 30% defense up. Just understand his damage overall will be less, as you're opting for a more defensive strategy. Next attacker, we have Cyrus. I feel like everyone and their mothers have Osiris, the most anticipated unit, and he's as good as they say. Using the Twilight Tome and Edmenta armor, and at Awakening 1, he has a staggering 938 magic and 308 speed. His fire damage along with Lynette's buff and Viola's debuffs allow him to reach damages of 50,000 above. He is a 5k out of 5 for the 15 turn win. Alternatively, you can also use Cedric. He's a fire scholar. Although his damage is not great, he does have access to a defense down fire attack and a somewhat decent cure plus regen for 2 turns. Moving on to another support character, we're using Anya's. Most players probably don't have her, but she is emergency backup for heals and revives. Her skills are Protect, which we'll need for this boss fight, as the majority of her attacks are physical based, Cure and Raise. For 15 win, she isn't that necessary. She gets like 2k out of 5. You can switch her off with any healers, even 4-star units, and you do okay. Again, if you haven't already, you could use Glossom. Our next support or debuffer, Viola. She's great here. She's fire based and uses daggers, which the boss is weak against. More importantly, she's here for her debuffs. If you like certain characters, she can also be an attacker and stay in your front row for the entirety of the fight. Just make sure to equip SP Snatch. She's using the Twilight Dagger along the Twilight Armor. For this fight, I'd recommend using the Adamantine for extra damage if you're going that route. Here I'm using her as a debuffer. She's a 5k out of 5 for the 15 turn clear. For first time clearers who might not have her, I'd recommend Kurtz, as he has anti-attack as well. He only gets access to a 15% attack and elemental attack decrease, but take what you can get. Next support, Elfin. If there was ever a universal support character that could work in every team, it would be Elfin. His equipment aren't too important, just slap some armor on him. His skills are what we're interested in. Emergency Vivify or Revive, a regen, and the most important, Pomegranate Panacea. For max damage on turn of break and turn break, this Pomegranate skill allows for maximum damage. For the 15 turn win, he's a 4k out of 5. Really nice to have, it makes the fight easier, but if you had another attacker, you can also opt to use that as well too. For first time wins, I would go ahead and use an attacker, whether it be a dagger or bow user. Some recommended 4-star users could be Wingate, Ashton, or Lucetto. Finally, moving on to our last unit, and that's everyone's favorite, Wingate. We want the most damage, and Wingate allows us to do that with his passive. He'll be in the back for the most attempts, so slap some decent armor on him. For a 15 turn win, he is also another 4k out of 5k. If you're thinking about units that can increase damage to character in front, you could also opt to use Bard for his attack passive or Camila for a bow damage increase. Okay, let's go. Gertrude is weak against 2 daggers, bows, fires, and has 9 shields along with close to 800,000 HP. Here's her abilities starting from her supports to her attacks. Firstly, she has Strong Guard. It's her gimmick, and you can only break one of her shields at a time, even multi-hits. The very first turn that she gets is always a permanent buff, which is Battle Ball. It's a permanent 20% increase in its speed speed and attack, and it gains another turn. Her original speed is at 373, and it increases to about 450. Finally, we have I Can't Let My Guard Down. It's a +3 shield once you get her HP down to 50%. Now onto attack skills. She has Amputation. It's a single target physical attack, and it does about 1200 to 1600 damage. And that's to say that you're using the adamantine armor set along with Viola's debuff. If you aren't using Viola's debuff, you can expect to be taking a bit more damage. Her next attack is the Wild Bisection. It's a 3-hit random physical damage that deals about 900 damage to 1500 damage each. If she lands all 3 hits onto one character, they probably are not going to survive. Her next attack is Your Slash. It's a single target physical damage that will always crit. You can expect about 1600 to 2000 amount of damage. Finally, we have a Grand Cleave. This is probably her strongest hitting attack. Luckily, it's only a single target. It deals physical damage and it also inflicts slow for 2 turns. You can expect about 2900 to 3500 damage. Again, you can easily mitigate these damages by using Glaucum. Having a 30% defense buff for your whole entire team can definitely mitigate this damage to about 1600 to 1800, and that's if you're using Viola's debuff. Finally, for her last physical attack, she has something called a Healing Cleave. Now that's her only physical damage AoE attack that deals about 1100 to 1600 damage, and she tends to use that below 50%, and she tends to heal quite a bit as well too. Upwards to 40,000 HP, so definitely watch out for that. Lastly, her elemental attack is the Heavy Shadow Impact. It's a dark magic damage that does about 1400 to 1600 damage, and it also inflicts slow for 3 turns. Okay, so for the first turn, you can either go for all attacks and get her down to 5 shields, and then go for buffs, as her first turn will always be her buff up attack. Her Battle Balm ability increases her attack and speed permanently, and gained another action turn. Her speed is now around 450, and her Act 2 on this turn is about 340 speed. From here, you want to apply as many debuffs as you can until you get her down to exactly 1 shield. That's going to allow us to capitalize on the maximum damage from the turn she gets broken to the turn during the break. Okay, let's see. Oof. Please don't tackle that. Okay. We'll just attack. So let's max fire resist down by 30%. Along with debilitate. Good. One more time. $40K. $70K. $57. Please don't attack me. Yeah, it's not too bad. At 50% health, she's going to start using Healing Cleave, and as stated from before, this attack is AoE and deals up to 900 to 1200 damage, even with debuffs. Our next Fire Scholar is going to be a time-limited character. Please don't attack Cyrus. Thank God. Should have gone for a debilitate here. Not as much damage as before. One more time. Ooh, the damage really dropped. It's our turn count right now. Turn 12. Now let's go for a protect instead. Once approaching the red hill, she's going to use Battle Bomb again, allowing her to act in the same turn for 3 times. This third act has about 255 speed. She heals her so much. 33,000. Turn 13. It's gonna be a close one. Oof. Turn 14. I want to see if I can just power through here. $9,000. Incoming break. Exactly turn 15. Wonder if I have enough damage here. Close. Come on, let's go, Cyrus.
Yes! Turn 15, exactly.
Okay, that's not too bad. I still think Varkin was the more difficult boss, but that's my opinion. But anyways, good luck in your fight, and like always, take care of yourselves. Let out.